Hey y'all, it's Lindsay, and I thought I would take you with me as I share what I eat in a day on a ketovore way of eating. I've already had coffee and breakfast. I would like to show that to you now. Breakfast time. It's already almost 10 o'clock and I am starving, but there was much and many things to do. Okay, this is a pancake recipe that I used ProFlow, the protein power flour, in instead of any other kind of options. And I followed a technique that my grandmother used to do when I was a kid for her Belgian waffle recipe. I'm kind of over here sort of trying to figure out the recipe. So I'm not really sure if this is going to taste any good or not, but it's about a third of a cup of the ProFlow, some almond milk, vanilla, allulose, baking powder. There is some salt in there. I did put a little monk fruit powder in here, so we shall see what happens. Oh, and an egg. I did have another egg. I decided only to use one to make a small batch. We shall see how these stand up to the eating, but I tell you what, they're rather fluffy pancakes there. So you don't normally see that with a low-carb, keto-friendly pancake, but here we go. I wanted to show you the loft on these pancakes. I mean, my goodness, that is a seriously fluffy pancake. I have not put any syrup. It was just the butter that you saw. I think these would be improved with a little bit of syrup. But I also really think these would make a fantastic waffle batter. I forgot to mention my cup of black coffee here. This is cup number 2 for me today. I am a vision. Be blessed. The girls and I just got back from swimming. It was Lauren's swim lesson, and the big girls and I got into the lap pool. We worked really diligently on treading water and getting the timing down on breaststroke, because that one is a little bit trickier for the girls. That is actually my favorite stroke. However, it's proving to be a little bit more of a hurdle for the big girls. So anyway, we just got back. I am still stuffed from those pancakes, but it's also been like a little over 2 hours. So I'm not terribly surprised, but those were super filling. It took me just kind of like powering through to get to the end of the plate. I just didn't want any of it to go to waste. And it's not like I was gorging myself to the point where I felt like I was gonna pop, but I definitely felt very full afterward. But since we're back, I have a strawberry lemonade perfect keto base right here. Again, not my favorite. Definitely not my favorite, but it does have some of the electrolytes that I need. And like I said in the past, I am trying to use that container up. I've had it since beginning of summer. So clearly I've gotten myself tidied up, cleaned up, refreshed. Hair is done, feeling good. It is beautiful outside. It was -4 today and it's supposed to be up to the 30s. So that's kind of a temperature swing. It's on its way. It's getting warmer, and getting in and out of the pool today, it was not terrible because it wasn't -4 when we went to the pool. It was closer to like 16 degrees outside, and that's Fahrenheit. Not Celsius. I have been in a little bit of a mental tug of war with myself over recipe ideas and foods and different experiments that I want to try in the kitchen. I do spend a majority of my time in the kitchen, and it's actually an enjoyable place for me. I like to just be there. Like, I feel like that's my spot, my zone. And I like to toy around with different ideas. I spend a lot of time, cleaning up after messes, preparing food for my girls, showing them how to prepare foods, just, like all the things. So I'm at this place in my mind where I really want to test out a lot of different recipe ideas that I have, or techniques that I want to try out, different ways that I want to try to incorporate ingredients and take out other ingredients for a variety of different recipes that I already have. But I run into a bit of a problem because myself and my husband are the only ones who really eat these foods, but preparing an entire recipe's worth whenever I want to go through and change things up frequently is less ideal. I could freeze the leftovers. I could freeze them all into individual portions and set myself up for success in the future. But I'll often find myself wanting to make something fresh anyway. I love the idea behind freezer meal prep, but when it comes to actually eating those things, I tend to mentally step aside from those and not realize that they're available to me. And that's just a thing that I do. It's just my brain, and it's not something I'm terribly upset by. Usually, whenever I do pull something from the freezer that's already prepared, I think, you know, this would be really great if it was this thing instead. You know what? I think I'm just going to go make that thing instead. Now, I don't let the food go to waste, but it's not my first inclination to go and pull something from the freezer that's already made. Pulling meat to thaw for a dinner, totally good. Pulling out frozen vegetables, easy peasy. It's just tricky for me because I always want to be preparing something new, something fresh. And I mean, pulling out the creamy ice creams, totally fine. So I don't know. I've been in this place where I think I want to make all these things. The reality is that we can't eat them before they go bad, or freeze them and then forget about them, or begrudgingly eat them later. So I'm trying my hardest to create more single serving or small batch items. That's another thing. Like, I'm able to portion control much more easily if I single serve or small batch different recipes, especially as it concerns sweets. So that small batch of pancakes this morning, totally doable for me. If I had them cold in the fridge, like as leftovers to pull out, or in the freezer as leftovers to pull out, I would probably overeat them and then get frustrated and sick of them, and then stick them in the freezer and then not touch them for a long time until, you know, kingdom come. So I want to create lots of fun recipes that are more small batch, that are also scalable. So you can scale them up to like a full size recipe, but that also requires more time and more ingredients and more of everything. So I'm just trying to pace myself and not overstress myself. Like I said, it's a tug of war in my brain. I want to do all the new things, but I want to just stick to what's easy and simple. But I also want to use up what I already have, even though I may not want it and feel like it's missing, you know, whatever newness I really want. It's just, you know, another day in paradise out here in the Ohio. Alrighty, it's 2 in the afternoon, and I have not really felt like cooking anything specific right now for myself to eat, but I did have some ice cream in my freezer that I wanted to whiz through the creamy. This is a cake batter flavor that I've created, and I hope to have a dedicated video on how I did that. And since it's over freezing now, ice cream is totally a viable snack option. All right, we're all done playing around here. I'm going to go ahead and finish off this pint of ice cream. There are only about 12 grams of protein in that whole pint, so I'm really light on that macro. And my breakfast wasn't super heavy in protein, even though it was very filling. Hello, you are in my kitchen window, and we are at the sink washing up some dishes. I spent this afternoon making some egg white protein bread, making them into hamburger rolls, hamburger buns, and I am planning to use some shredded chicken I have in my refrigerator, and I'm gonna dice that up really finely, mix it with some of my homemade mayonnaise, a little bit of celery, and perhaps some onion flakes, like some dehydrated onion flakes, salt, pepper, garlic, all those things, and make myself a chicken salad sandwich. Hubby is not as fond of, oh, I'm also actually washing dishes. Did I tell you that? That's what I'm doing. Hubby does not care for the Profo, the egg white protein bread. It's not his favorite. He will eat it, but it is certainly not his jam. So I have made for him my low carb bread, my keto friendly bread. I have a video here on my channel for that, as well as a printable recipe link that I might remember to link in the description box below. But he really likes that one. It stands up to like hot roast beef sandwiches. It stands up to a lot of wear and tear without being foamy. So he likes that one. That one does have some nut flours in it. It has some of the fiber, like oat fiber, that some people struggle with digestively. And it also has Greek yogurt, that's what I'm trying to think of, in it, which is obviously dairy. So if you are dairy free, that is not the one. And it has whey protein isolates. So if you are dealing with a dairy allergy, then that is certainly not the one for you. But the nice thing is that he can have the bread he likes, I can have the bread I like, Everybody's a winner. It's grand. And yeah, so here's my rolls, and then my bread for him is hanging out down there. It's got about another 20 minutes to go, so he will enjoy having a chicken salad sandwich on that. I've got kitchen cabinets wide open. All right, I'm gonna let you go, and I will come back to you when dinner is prepared. Here's my dinner. I'm very hungry and excited to eat this. I have 2 of my egg white rolls, and I've sliced them in half, put on some chicken salad. The chicken salad is just cooked shredded chicken mixed with my homemade mayonnaise, a little bit of celery, and some seasonings, salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder. And then I also have a few cucumber slices here, and we are drinking water. Super excited to scarf this down. That dinner was definitely a belly filler. I feel very satisfied, no longer hungry. I do love a good chicken salad sandwich, and eating it on the egg white rolls is top notch. And what else? Oh, those rolls. I baked them up in my silicone mesh pan. This one I've had now for, I don't know, 6 months or so. Not that long. That can't be that long. 4 months. Come off it, Lindsay. Anyway, I've had it for quite a while now, and washing that thing has always been very tedious. I think it may have been Neely who suggested not spraying those silicone pans with any cooking spray, and they came out just fine and dandy. There was no issue with them. I don't ever spray the pan whenever I use parchment paper, but I had been spraying that roll pan because I didn't have the parchment paper. I didn't have the patience to cut out strips and circles of parchment. So I had been using the cooking spray, like the avocado spray. Well, I decided to try it Neely's way without, if it was Neely who told us to not do that. Memory is hard. I chose not to spray it this go around. The rolls came out fine and dandy, and the piece that really sold it to me was the fact that I could clean it easier. It's almost as if the cooking spray would act like glue from the crumbs of the rolls to the pan, and it was such a pain in the butt to actually clean that thing. So learned lesson there. I'm only going to have a cup of black decaf coffee for the remainder of the night. I filmed a video where I share an ice cream recipe that I have really been loving. And one of the things I mentioned in that video is switching out the extracts and the flavorings so that you can change up the actual flavor of the ice cream to suit your mood. And whenever I mentioned peppermint, I thought, I really need peppermint tonight. So I did put a tiny bit of peppermint extract in my coffee tonight as a little treat. But that's going to be the end of today's food. Today was more of a regular keto day, high fat, moderate protein, low carb, than it was a true ketovore day, which I define as high protein, moderate fat, and low carb. I feel a little bit frustrated with me that I didn't get a higher protein day. I probably didn't break 100 grams. If I'm being generous, I probably hit about 80 grams of protein today. And that's just one of those things where protein is my focus, but today I was just not feeling it. I wasn't as hungry throughout the day just because those pancakes, they were super filling. So I am just gonna take the mulligan and move on with my life. Yeah, it'll all work out. It'll be fine. So I'm gonna go drink this coffee. I appreciate you watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.